Hello everyone, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're watching from. We are here for the final race before the Easter break for ISRL, starting with Division 3. Here we are then for round 9 in Portugal. It's the Portuguese Grand Prix, and after two very close finales in the previous two races, what surprises can we have in store? We had, of course, Tabome and Wild Dog crossing the line with 3 thousandths to spare between one another. And we saw in the previous race Stanek just missing out on a victory from Synchro in Bahrain. So let's see what frills and spills we can have here in Portugal. A couple of drivers who will be supremely confident after last week. Of course, Tabone is one of them. One of the drivers that might need a better weekend compared to last week is the championship leader Synchro, who continues to lead by a dominant margin in the Drivers' Championship, but their race in the sprint race and also the full race in Saudi Arabia last week went abysmally for them. We hope then that they can have a much better race then as we get into this 18-minute qualifying session to determine who is on pole position. Back to our usual 18-minute qualifying session on this occasion. After the sprint race last week, we have, of course, the final of the sprint race formations in the penultimate race in Belgium at round 14. We've got a couple of rounds before we get to that. But here we are then for the back to our old qualifying ways as we are on board. As someone's had a spin. It's one of the Williams, I think. As we watch as Greenwell Army then blast down the back straight to start their first flying lap then. As they'll head into turn 1, sharp right hand turn, or turn 2 and 3. Wonder how tired some of these drivers might be if they've just watched the Australian Grand Prix. It's weird to think there was about, what was it, 12 hours ago? Well, I think it's less than that, but it was a while ago, 10-ish so hours ago, so I'm sure a lot of drivers, if they've stayed up since then, will be extremely tired. I can definitely relate. I am one of those people. As Greenwell Army through the middle sector, we come to the uphill and braking into turns 10 and 11. Only 15 corners on this track, not many. It is a very quick lap indeed. They make their way into turn 13. Greenwell Army all neat and tidy at the moment. And then they'll power their way down turn 14 and the flat out right hand turn of 15. DRS comes in a little later on. There it is. And there's the first lap time then, a 1:18.6. We have the Haas of Eckloud reserving in the Haas, goes quicker with a 1:17.8. Next up is last week's race winner, who goes second fastest, Mr. Martin of Tabome. And we've got, I think, one of the Alfa Romeos, that's Rusty Orcan, the slowest time at the moment. Michael Furious is about to set their first lap. They're on the medium tyre, so they are definitely ones to keep an eye on. Wild Dog then, who came tantalisingly close to a race victory last time out. Started third, finished second. Across the line, goes quicker by 3/10 of a second, so good run from them at the moment. Stanek immediately beats that with a 1:17.3. Next up is the McLaren of Full and Monkeys, who goes fourth fastest. So they get better on pace is the McLaren, which is great to see. Victor beats them though to fourth place. Next up is Sorotto, who got a podium last week as well. Goes third fastest. Once again, much like last week, Williams looking strong again after their double podium. As one of the Ferraris are about to start their second lap. Their lap, that would be Chris reserving in the Ferrari. Can't remember who's in that Ferrari for the life of me, so I apologise. Synchro then, I believe has already invalidated their first run. So is going again. Keep your eye as well on lap 14 on those mediums. I think is invalidated as well. We'll see what times they can do and where they are. You can see that Furious has done a 1:18.5. Not ideal. They are in the top 10. Lap 14 is done a 1:18.9, so unsurprisingly they're not quick laps on those medium tyres. Do drivers want to sacrifice track position for starting on a harder compound of tyres that might be better for the race? We shall see. We have seen that happen before. Synchro powering through then. I think he's backed off, to be honest. So the lap time was pretty slow as Synchro into the pits. Freefall is out. Where is that? That is down at turn. I think it's the exit of... as the Vapor joins. That's a nightmare for Freefall. Freefall's not having the most ideal of seasons. They are, of course, transitioning onto the wheel, so probably still getting used to it. That's a huge shame for them. Vapor, of course, joining will be in the sister AlphaTauri. This is their teammate Whitson. Coming through the exit of turn 11. As the confirmation, Vapor in the sister AlphaTauri have just joined. Whitson here will hug the right hand side. Someone's had a bit of a spin, I think. Might be another Williams again, which would be Wild Dog. Whitson goes into the top 10. Decent stuff from them at the moment. Here is Mike Oxong standing back out onto the track again. There is Wild Dog just getting out of the way. Did see yellow flags for them earlier. Eclad. Oh, Eclad's been disqualified for being the wrong way. And that's the Hask driver then. We'll start this race right from the back. We have seen that on a couple of occasions before, but the Haas driver over and out then. Right, let's watch then the Williams of Wild Dog going for another run. And the gap is about 2 tenths between them and Stanek for provisional pole. Stanek out for another lap as well. So keep your eye on. Oh, there's them, and they go well off the track there. Just almost turned left into a right-hand corner. Not quite sure what happened there. It looks awfully bizarre. Either way then. That's their lap done. As Whitson goes again, goes up to 5th now for AlphaTauri. Mike Oxong then. One of 4 drivers yet to set a lap time at the moment. 3 of them are out on track. Of course, Vapor joining late means they just need to get time to get their car set up, and I'm sure we'll see them shortly. Also, I've mentioned Division 3 got no penalties last time out in Saudi Arabia, or at least not penalties, no one was reported. So a somewhat squeaky clean weekend, if you like. So good job from them, as Mike Oxon posts the slowest time at the moment. Sure has got plenty more time in that Alpine to squeeze out. Stanek then trying to improve on that 1:17.3. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the drivers pushing into the 1:16s. But Stanek won't be doing that on this lap. They've just invalidated. Coming on the exit of turn 11. And they've got to be careful of the Haas driver. Coming past them as well. And I think, did Synchro get caught out there by Stanek? That cost the Haas driver time. Stanek did try and get out of the way, but quite late on. As Synchro now moves up to 2nd place on those medium tyres. They're 2 tenths back. That is stellar pace from Synchro. 2nd on mediums, a 1:17.5. That's worrying signs for the rest of the field, I think. That's their pace on medium tyres. So imagine if Synchro swaps onto the soft tyres. There's obviously a bit more delta on the soft tyres compared to the medium tyres. So that works out nicely for them. Mike Oxon has improved to go 4th fastest. As you saw there, as I mentioned, Mike Oxon having more pace. And now they've shown that. So I'm up into 6th place at the moment. Chris has dropped down to 7th at the moment. Should mention Marco as well on the medium tyres. The only other driver on the medium tyres in the 1:17s in 8th place. So Otto keeps to the right hand side, shortest distance to the line, and Otto now provisional pole by 8/1000ths of a second. Not much, but enough to put that Williams on pole position. Wild Dog makes their way back out once again. So who else is on a fast lap? We should keep an eye on. Fallen Monkeys hasn't improved. Greenwell Army is invalidated. We'll keep on board then with the McLaren of Fallen Monkeys. I think has had the upper hand in that McLaren versus McLaren scrap with Luck 14. Luck 14 just starting their fastest lap at the moment. Stanek is, I believe, coming back out of the pits. As you can see in the bottom right hand of the screen, the Alpine of, I think that's Mike Oxon just getting out of the way from the McLaren. They shouldn't hold them up too much, and they've got a nice clear track to give it everything in the last 2 corners and see where they can improve. Currently a 1:18.4 for their best time in 12th place. Let's see if they can get any higher, and it won't be because Fallen Monkeys goes back into the pit, so we won't see if there is an improvement. Luck 14 meanwhile has invalidated, which is a bit of a shame. Greenwell Army meanwhile has found 3 temps so far in that first sector. Synchro meanwhile, I think they've just found a bit more time. You can see they've gone a 10.5 quicker in the middle sector, so Synchro still finding more time on those medium tyres, which will definitely give them some encouragement. Now, dashing through turn 15. We'll climb up the hill here. And Synchro moves onto provisional pole on those medium tyres. Unless the game is glitching and those are actually soft tyres, that is scary pace from the championship leader, who I mentioned needed to come back on strong form following the disappointing Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and at the moment looks absolutely like they're doing so. We'll go back on board with Stanek, who is on a personal best at the moment, up by a 10th at a bit, so it's a significant improvement. But surely the drivers are nervous about that pace from Synchro, and that's on medium tyres. Of course, that is that's obviously worrying. Vapor has left the session after joining early. We still haven't seen them on the track at the moment. Worth mentioning as well, Tabone having issues with their gears as well. As Stanek then crosses the line and reclaims that provisional pole. We're into the 1:16s. A 1:16.4, almost 8 tenths clear, as that was the Williams just stuck behind there. That was Wild Dog, who spun. Wild Dog saw a Red Bull in their front view. Michael Furious has moved up to 4th as well. They've moved on to the soft tyres. Synchro back into the pits. I wouldn't be surprised if Synchro actually just calls it a day there, because that's a super lap on those medium tyres. That is Tabome. And I mentioned Tabome is struggling with their gears at the moment. They're stuck in automatic rather than manual. They've just got a setting incorrection or whatever. Either way, not ideal for them. Meanwhile, Chris on a better lap as they power through turn 11, 12 and 13. I think Wild Dog has had another spin. Well, that's a Mercedes, actually, I believe. Not sure which of the two Mercedes that is. We'll have a look in a minute. Both Mercedes actually struggling as well. Victor's just moved up to 11th. As Chris goes and abandons their lap, it looks like. So Marco, sorry, we missed that, apologies. Marco moves up to second for Aston Martin. It's been quite quiet actually from Marco. Kind of all the spotlight's been on their teammate, but Marco moves up to second place. Wild Dog down to 6th at the moment. Needs a much better lap. How much time have we got left as well? Not sure. Marco going again, maybe? I think we've got 1 minute 42 left. So if anyone wants to pit now, they won't get another lap in. Synchro is out on those soft tyres. Marco's in, so they won't get another lap in. Marco Fierez then going once again. Wild Dog starting their next lap. As we watch then the Alpine of Mike Oxlong. Chris retires. Their best start then is 10th for Ferrari. Powering through the middle sector comes Mike Oxlong, and now into the final sector they come. Unless they've got enough fuel and enough ERS to do back-to-back laps here, this will probably be the final lap then for the Alpine driver. Got just under a minute to go. Where can Mike Oxlong slot at Alpine on the grid? The answer is 4th at the moment. Not a bad run at all. Marco Fierez is not improving. I think they're about to start a lap again. They've got just about enough time to do so. So Otto then finding just under 2 tenths in the middle sector on this run. It's not enough to challenge for pole position at the moment, but we'll move them higher up the field if they can keep this lap together. Michael Fierez out then. That's enough from them. So Otto crosses the line, goes up onto the second row ahead of Synchro at the moment. Checkered flag is out. Stanek and Marco won't improve on those times. We'll see where they end up. Whitson has that's enough for them. Vapor back in and qualifies in 7th place. Whereas ISRL Hartman, they're in the pits along with the Aston Martin of Tabome. We watch on board then, I think, for Greenwell Army, next one to cross the line, as Greenwell Army goes in 10th place. And that is Wild Dog in the barrier. Need to make sure they get out of there, otherwise they could risk being disqualified. Whitson not improving at the moment and gets a spin as well. That might block Synchro. Synchro, of course, on a better lap, 3 tenths up, and the AlphaTauri just gets out of the way just in time. Synchro then to cross the line, only 4 fastest. They backed off at the end, and that's smart because that means Synchro will start on the medium tyres. Mike Oxlong into the pits. Next to come across the line will be Wild Dog, who will enter the pits. So Otto is not improving either. And that is all said and done then. It is Stanek then for Red Bull on pole position for the race with a 1:16.4. 2 tenths clear of Marco, who is back on the front row. But a good couple of runs then. But Synchro then, the one I think to watch, despite starting this race in 4th. They will start on the medium tyres. If we look, if I can get this right. Oh well, we'll have a look in a minute then. But yeah, that was a bit of a nice way to kick off this Division 3 with a good qualifying session. There's the gap then, 2.5 tenths then between Stanek and Marco. Stanek on pole position, Marco in P2, so Otto in P3, Synchro, as I mentioned, in P4 and the only one in the top 10 who will start on the medium tyres. Mycox on 5th, Michael Furious 6th, Vapor in 7th, Wild Dog in 8th. Bit of a messy end to their qualifying run. Tabaum in 9th, those two sharing 8th and 9th. Those two, of course, finishing 1 and 2 last week. Green Wall Army rounding out the top 10. Then we've got Chris reserving for Ferrari in 11th, Victor in 12th, Lap 14 in 13th, Hartman in 14th, Witts in 15th, Rusty Orkan 16th, Bull Monkeys in 17th, and Freefall, who crashed out early on in the session, starts 18th, and Ecloud, who got disqualified, starts the race in 19th place. And let's see what the race can bring for us in this Division 3. Right then. And as we wait for the drivers to pick their strategies, make any adjustments. They can make some adjustments. You can change the front wing, the differentials, change the tyre pressures as well, actually. But not much you can really change. And you've got 30 seconds to do so, because the clock has started. So let's see where they all are. Some drivers will be looking to build momentum after the first race. Oh, sorry, after last week's race. It's not first race. I don't know what I'm on about. After last week's race, some will need a bit of confidence or a confidence boost after last week. Let's see if it's another close one, as it has been for the last two Grand Prix. Away we go then for the formation lap. Stanek leading the way. And as I mentioned, top 10 all on soft tyres minus Synchro, who did their best lap on the medium tyres. Everyone from 11th below has a free choice of tyres. Chris on the soft tyres, Victor medium tyres. We've got Lap 14 Hartman soft tyres, Wits and mediums. Oil Can, Full and Monkeys are on the soft tyres, Freefall mediums. And Ecloud in 19th and last is going to try the hard compound tyres. I suppose they've got nothing to lose. They are effectively last. So, nothing really to lose. Let's see how that works. As Ecloud, I think, is rather slow. They do need to make sure they catch up to the back of the field. Can't leave a large gap behind, as we're actually seeing Lap 14. Lap 14 needs to make sure they catch right back up to Mercedes of Victor. Actually, large gaps forming. Yeah, the drivers should all make sure they're all behind one another. But you do often see gaps like that, and that, of course, hurts those who are actually leading the formation lap, because the tyre temperatures will drop. There's the strategy then, a one-stop strategy expected then. Softs onto the hards. Some might try a two-stopper, we'll see. It's a good question of track position versus raw speed. Medium runners will pit later on for either the hard tyres, or some might even go onto the soft tyres if their tyre management is good. Stanek and Marco very early onto the grid. Ecloud is just coming through the final corner now. See Freefall there as well. Stanek and Marco will lose tyre temperature very quickly while they wait, but the Haas will line up on the back row all on their own. And when they're lined up, we'll be ready to get underway with racing for one last time before the Easter break. Here we go then. 5 lights for one more time. And we are underway for the Portuguese Grand Prix for Division 3. One of the Mercedes having a good start at the back as well. But Stanek having a brilliant start as well, as is Sir Otto as well. Tried to challenge the Aston Martin of Marco, but didn't have enough momentum to go through as well. Very close there is Mike Oxong and Synchro losing out at the start on those medium tyres. Mike Oxong trying to utilise the best of those soft tyres whilst they have the grip. but not able to make a pass. Meanwhile, Michael Fures ahead of Efron to Bohm there. That's the McLaren down the inside. That's very late on the brakes and T-bones the side of Michael Fures, but thankfully they all go through A-OK at the moment. Vapor under pressure from Mike Oxlong. Actually, that's Vapor putting pressure on Mike Oxlong. Apologies, because Mike Oxlong was ahead, but now Vapor going round the outside, taps the wheel of the Alpine and ahead and up into 5th place then. Good start from the former race winner, minus the helmet, of course. Someone has had a moment. That's the Mercedes of Victor, who was caught up in an incident last week as well, and Ecloud as well. Not ideal for them as well. Free fall ahead of Rusty Oil Can. Meanwhile, Chris is defending from Luck 14. Not a bad start, actually, after starting in lower down the field. Luck 14 up to 11th place, but it is Stanek then who leads the way then from the Aston Martin of Marco by 0.6 of a second, followed by Sir Otto, who's under pressure, I think, from Synchro as well. There's Marco catching up, but not able to make a pass yet. No DRS enabled, of course, until the end of the 3rd lap. Rossi Orkan is in the pits, presumably for front wing damage, I imagine, if they're in that earlier on. Meanwhile, look at this in the background. This is ISRL Hartman and Greenwell Army scrapping away for 13th on the grid. The front wing change you just briefly saw there for the Alfa Romeo of Royal Can, who exits back onto the track, or will exit onto the track in 19th place and a long way off the field. Synchro putting pressure on as Wild Dog, the first to get a 3-second time penalty very quickly, down in 9th place as well. Lost out to Bohm at the start. Synchro meanwhile showing good pace at the moment, but doesn't want to be stuck behind this Williams for too long. So Otto is 1.5 seconds behind the top two. Synchro needs to clear this Williams and try and then go and chase after the top two. Stanek dropping him slightly as well. I think Freefall's had a spin. And indeed, I think they have. We'll have a look at them in a minute. I want to keep an eye on this though. This is Synchro on Sir Otto. And Otto, I don't think, has had enough momentum to keep the hats behind. And the championship leader up into the podium positions then, ahead of the Williams. And now Sir Vapor is right on the back as well. So one to keep an eye on as well. Wild Dog keeping to Bohm occupied as they did last week. These two. It was to Bohm who pressurised Wild Dog throughout the race. Going wide there is Luck 14. This time it's the other way round. Now that is ISRL Hartman making their way down the inside. Actually went too deep on the brakes and almost I thought was going to run into the McLaren there. But Hartman misjudging their braking, loses out not only to Luck 14 but to Whitson as well. And Hartman misjudging their braking. That's 2 cars we've now seen misjudging their braking into the tricky hairpin. Meanwhile, these two dueling for the lead. And Ecloud's been disqualified again. Now, I have seen that happen before, so Ecloud must have spun. I think has been disqualified for a second time, so Ecloud not having the best of races. Once again, though, Marco drops out of that 1 second window in the final sector again. That will keep Stanek occupied there as Synchro trying to break the toe of the Williams behind. And Synchro not able to pull away from them just yet. Bohm on the back of Michael Fures as Luck 14 ahead of Whitson for 11th place then. ISRL Hartman is caught right up to the back of them once again. Synchro is 2 seconds from the leaders, but they're dragging Otto and Vapor with them. These two scrapping away as well. Whitson back ahead of Luck 14. There's ISRL Hartman right on their tail as well. Not able to make a move just yet. Back on board then with the Williams of Wild Dog. As Mike Oxlong, next one to get a 3-second time penalty in 6th place. A bit of a DRS train form behind them. Hartman ahead now of Luck 14 for 12th place. Greenwell Army also getting ahead of the McLaren as well, so the McLaren's beginning to struggle at the moment. As Michael Fures into the pits they go. The Alphas both stopping early. Wild Dog then. Tabome had the DRS, of course, on the Alpha. And not able to make a move as a result, though. So that might have helped Aston Martin there. An early pit stop then for the Alpha. And this is medium tyres going on. Now, I wonder if that's a two-stop strategy then for the Alfa Romeo Fures. I think both Alphas are actually on that same strategy as well. On board with Vapor. Behind Sir Otto at the moment. Otto still has DRS on Synchro. Synchro not able to pull away just yet. Much better traction for the AlphaTauri as they exited through turn 11. Goes wide as well to try and get a better exit out of turn... I have to remember the corner names. It's turn 12, isn't it, this one? And this one's turn 13. Synchro starting to catch Marco as well for second place. That gap down to 1.5. Stanek has dropped both of them. And it's 2 seconds out in front. So Stanek just stretching their legs at the moment. That is Michael Fures having a spin. Maybe trying to push on those medium tyres. Just a little too earlier on. Look at the speed of the AlphaTauri as they blast, well, not blast ahead, yes they have now, of the Williams of Sir Otto. Vapor up to 4th place then. And not much there Otto could have done. Vapor now can chase after Synchro, but Vapor 2 seconds back though. However, Vapor moved off the racing line, potentially to defend from Otto, but realised Otto was nowhere alongside. Wild Dog's still stuck behind the Aston Martin. They would like dearly to get ahead. Synchro almost within a second of Marco. Both Aston Martin's under pressure at the moment. As soon as Synchro gets within that 1 second window of be watchful. And so far, I think Synchro's just slightly out of that 1 second window that they need. They won't get the DRS, I think, on this run. Or will they? I think they did, actually. Yes, they were. That will help them in that battle, but not able to make a move just yet. This is Sir Otto and Vapor. Meanwhile, though, Wild Dog now ahead of Tabome, and finally the Belgian driver clears last week's race winner. That's what I wish they would have done on the final lap last week. They didn't do that, unfortunately. But Wild Dog now up into 7th place. It can now go and chase after the Alpine of Mike Oxlong. Synchro now 6 tenths back from Marco. Mentioned earlier, the pace of Synchro looking very strong at the moment. And as these soft tyres start to die out, it will bring Synchro right back into play. My intrigue, though, is what does Synchro do later on in the race? What tyre do they go on to when they do make their pit stop? Will they pit for the soft tyres? In doing so, they'll have to have a fairly long stint on those medium tyres. Will they go onto the hard tyres? We shall see. There's Stanek, your race leader. Let's see then. Can Marco defend from the Haas behind them? DRS enabled. Is it going to be close enough? They're gaining, but not able to close up just yet. That turn 1, you can't really late lunge a car up the inside. Taboma's got back ahead of Wild Dog, interestingly. We'll cut back to that in a second, but Wild Dog still dueling away. We haven't seen as Synchro down the inside of turn 5 moves ahead of the Aston Martin, and Synchro, easy as you like, up into 2nd place for them as we look at Tabome ahead of Wild Dog as well. These two fighting away for positions as they were last week, so deja vu for Wild Dog for a 2nd week in a row. Has to stare down that Aston Martin rear wing. My Coxon on the back of Sir Otto as well. Otto struggling for pace at the moment. So Bohm now gets a 3-second time penalty. So Synchro 3 seconds back from Stanek, the race leader, as Marco now gets a 3-second time penalty as well. Can Synchro close up to the Red Bull as Wild Dog closes in. DRS enabled, not using the ERS interesting enough, but may not need to, as there, well, went one way, went the other, and there goes Wild Dog round the outside and up into 7th place again. And if these two keep fighting with each other, it's allowing Mike Oxong to get away as well. So they've got to be careful not to fight each other too much if Tabane wants to come back, but at the moment Wild Dog has held on to that 7th place. Sir Otto behind Vapor. Vapor did pass Sir Otto earlier, and that's Marco. Marco in the Aston Martin has lost it on the exit of turn 8. They're still in the race, but definitely on overheated tyres after that spin. And Marco down in 8th place now. That's a huge error from them. They weren't involved in, they weren't close to anyone, so they lost it all on their own. Marco down in 8th place then behind their teammate. And a podium position. Which goes down the drain, and let's see if they can recover from that then. That promotes Vapor up into the podium places. That is Sir Otto into the pits, and I think they've realised either a combination of their pace, they were dropping down the field earlier, or just not able to make a move on Vapor. Either way, they are pitting, and they'll drop to the back of the field, of course. And on fresh tyres as well. And I wonder if that will threaten the likes of Vapor and Mike Oxong for a possible undercut then. We'll see as Otto moves on to the medium tyres. Down the inside goes to Bohm on the inside of turn 5, but Wild Dog keeps it hanging. Wild Dog holds on to what is now 5th place. But like I mentioned, the more these two scrap, the more they're allowing the likes of Mike Oxong and Vapor to get clear down the road. You see Marco is right there as well. Marco will join this fight presumably later on. We've got a yellow flag for one of the McLarens, and that is Fallen Monkeys. And a spin for them, and goes right through the advertising board. It's a shame for when you see that for the advertisers. Fallen Monkeys then with overheated tyres. Now their teammate behind them as well, as the race leader has pitted. Stanek comes in off those soft tyres then, and onto the medium tyres they go. Now how far down the field will they drop? Vapor pits as well as Mike Oxong, so they're reacting to Sir Otto's pit stop. Stanek will come out of this race, I think behind their teammate actually. Yes they will, and they will be ahead of the Mercedes of Victor. So Vapor, where will they come out? Will they be ahead of Sir Otto? Looks like the answer is yes. And also, I think Mike Oxong will as well. Will they? Is there, you can see Sir Otto trying to hold it round turn 1. And just about then, that was nip and tuck for Sir Otto. Just about keeps it ahead. But now Mike Oxong with DRS though. Can they go round the outside of turn 5 on the Williams driver? They will have the inside line. They're going around the outside. I tell you what, Mike Oxong has made that work though. Mike Oxong ahead of the Williams driver, and Otto has lost out as a result of that. But can Otto, with a little bit more temperature in their tyres, be able to blast ahead? As this is Vapor and Freefall. Vapor, of course, has just pitted. Freefall has not, and going wide there is lap 14. That's allowed both Freefall and Vapor through. As we've got a yellow flag in the middle sector, and that's now ISRL Hartman's Mercedes, who takes the spin. Drivers beginning to struggle to Bohm into the pits then. That's actually brought, I believe, interesting there, as that is Marco now ahead of Wild Dog, but has picked up another 3-second time penalty. as a result of that. Of course, Marco not yet pitted, neither is Wild Dog. Top 6 have not made a pit stop just yet, but Marco ahead then. And Tabome will come out of this race down in 15th place. And I'm sure Wild Dog and the other Aston Martin will keep an eye on that as well. That 14 in the pits as well. Synchro then in the lead of this race, but has to make a pit stop, of course. How quickly can Stanek get through some of the traffic? Their first one is their teammate, who was 2 seconds ahead in front. I imagine that will be a fairly straightforward pass. There's Mike Oxong right on the back then of Freefall. Freefall having a messy qualifying, but so far going along nicely as they are, but they're about to come under pressure from some of them. Chris for Ferrari pits in the other Ferrari. As Stanek now sets the fastest of the race. Greenwell Army pits, so that will release Stanek up to 5th place. Go chasing after Whitson. Here goes Mike Oxong, and I think this is going to be a fairly straightforward pass there, and Freefall knows it. Oxong up into 9th place then, and there also alongside them is Otto as well. Otto ahead of Freefall, and Freefall losing 2 positions at once there as a result of that. Still though, Marco and Wild Dog not yet pitting, so might still have a bit of pace on those medium tyres just yet. Someone's had a spin, and that is Greenwell Army. Fresh out of the pits and fresh on those medium tyres. A fresh spin for good measure, then they're down in 15th. Drivers are beginning to struggle now. Well, they have been struggling with grip at the moment. Sort of right on the back of Mike Oxong. They would like to reclaim that position. Vapor's long gone from them as well, so Vapor's dropped the pair of them from that little particular scrap. Let's see if drivers will take the initiative to pit. Neither of these two stay out for the time being. Someone has had a spin. That is Freefall. And I said they were driving a solid race so far. Commentator's curse kicks in. And down in 14th place. Stanek, meanwhile, another fastest lap for them. Fallen Monkeys into the pits for McLaren. But another fastest lap and 3.7 seconds back behind Whitson. Whitson, of course, will stay out. So that's the first car Stanek will really need to pass. Wild Dog and Marco, we imagine, will pit soon as well. Synchro, meanwhile, 11 seconds out in front. Certainly been good for them so far. How consistent is their pace, and where will they be in comparison to Stanek later on? So far looking very, very good for them. So Otto then. Still trying to keep Mike Oxong occupied. Gaps have seemed to have closed down now. Or sorry, calmed down now, not closed down, calmed down. Same thing, and I think Marco is in the pits. No, they're not, but Wild Dog is. Wild Dog gets off those soft tyres, and that's an undercut then, or an undercut attempt on Marco. Well, Marco reacted to that immediately. But Wild Dog calls first. On go the medium tyres for them. They will drop down a couple of places though behind their teammate and also Mike Oxong as well, but we'll have fresher tyres to go chasing after them. There's the Williams driver then. Moves up to back in 9th place at the moment. I imagine Marco will react to that. So Vapor now has got Victor ahead of them for 5th place. There's another yellow flag, and I think that's for Greenwell Army again. I think it is. Not sure actually. No, it wasn't. That was actually for that was Stanek, I believe. I think Stanek's made an error, and they are a long way back now as a result. I think Freefall's just made one as well. That's crucial though, the race leader making an error. As you can see now they are, what are they, 11-7 something like that. They're a long way away. That really plays to the end of Synchro. Marco then chooses to pit. That might give Synchro almost a pit stop now, clear ahead of the Red Bull. Marco, medium tyres go on, and will come out of this race behind Otto. Will it be behind Wild Dog as well? There is the Aston Martin. You can see the Williams in the background. And I think just has got enough in hand to clear the Aston Martin. No, but Wild Dog goes down the inside, and much warmer tyres means that Wild Dog has got ahead of Marco. So now the undercut has paid off here. But Marco now with DRS here. Will they go for a move down the inside of turn 5? They think better of it. And for the time being, Marco has to slot behind the Williams for the moment. Vapor ahead of Victor as well for 4th place. Look at that gap though, well, that would be 23.4 seconds. That might be more than enough time for Synchro to pit and get ahead of the Red Bull. Rusty Orcan has just retired in the pits. In a miserable race for them, unfortunately. I haven't mentioned really Whitson actually. Whitson all out on their own at the moment. In 2nd place. Hasn't made a pit stop. Neither is the race leader. They're just driving their own comfortable race at the moment. Not 14, another 3-second penalty for them. That's the Alpha of Rusty Orcan. Keeping out of the way. I wonder if that disrupted any of these two as they came out as well. Marco though very close to the back of Wild Dog. I don't think Wild Dog can do much here, especially with DRS then. As down into turn 5 we go. Wild Dog trying to hold it around the outside, but the inside line goes to the Aston Martin. Wild Dog goes off the track and reclaims that position. Now, does Wild Dog need to give that place back? Because they did, they left the track in order to do so, and I wonder if Wild Dog gained an advantage by doing so. We'll see if Marco says anything about that, but either way, Wild Dog, whether they were forced off the track or not, either way, I think that, in my opinion, Wild Dog does need to give the place back to Marco. They went off the track in order to keep that position. Mike Oxlong now is behind Victor. Stanek now responding with fastest laps as well, trying to minimise the damage from earlier. Oh, someone's had a spin. That's both Hartman and Lot 14. So they both spin. They're both very close to each other, actually. I don't think they've had, well, I don't think they've had contact, as Wild Dog has lost out to Marco. Oh, they make contact there. Wild Dog trying to come back down the inside, and Wild Dog almost spins it round. It's a half spin, but saves it. And that's got very personal between those two. Wild Dog down then into 9th place. I tell you what, though, I think if the stewards have a look at that one, I think that's almost even Stevenson between now Wild Dog and Marco. We caught the inside of that battle. I think Wild Dog, not sure if, I think that was a fight they were losing on that one, but either way, Marco now ahead of the Williams driver. Victor doing a very solid job at the moment. Remember, they haven't pitted yet either. As Whitson now finally comes into the pits then. So 17 laps they've done on those medium tyres. We'll see what tyres they choose to go on. This is Mike Oxlong passing the Mercedes of Victor for 5th place. You see Sir Otto's not too far behind as well. They'll be the next one lining up the Mercedes. As Whitson goes on to the hard compound tyres. Let's see where they come out into the race. Will they be ahead of Michael Flores? The answer is no. Will they be ahead of Chris's Ferrari? Yes, they will be. Chris under pressure from the Aston Martin of Tabone. I wonder if Tabone's still got those issues with their gearbox or their gear shifts at the moment. It's stuck on automatic if you've just joined us recently. As Sabine with a bit better exit out of turn 5. The race leader now into the pits. Now this will be interesting. Has Synchro done enough to keep ahead of that Red Bull? Let's see. There's the Red Bull coming out of turn 15. This will be nip and tuck then. I think Stanek has done enough, but Synchro on the soft compound tyres. Stanek will take the lead back from this race. As someone to the... I thought I had a moment there. I think it might have been lap 14. Synchro then back into second place and about 5 seconds back from the race leader, but on the fresher soft tyres. Can they get not only to the end of this race with 13 laps to go, can Synchro catch Stanek for the victory? Remember back to Bahrain 2 weeks ago, it was the other way round. It was Stanek pressurising Synchro. Synchro held on and Stanek ran out of laps then, but now we've got the roles reversed. Can Synchro catch and pass Stanek for the lead of this race? So Otto going to catch Victor here in their efforts to go and then pursue Mike Oxong after that. So far, so good at the moment. Tell you what though, Synchro taking huge chunks of time out of Stanek already. Stanek of course pitted around lap 12. Synchro just pitted as well, lap 14 out of this race as well. Shame for them. Tyrrell Hartman, a 3-second penalty for them. As we watch then the Williams of Otto. Looks much better through the final corner. But yellow flags are in place though. That retirement from lap 14 has actually hurt them. But now that we're in a green flag zone, Otto can go clean around the outside of turn 1. That slightly hurt Otto initially, but Otto able to make a pass on Victor for 5th place. Even though they're retiring in the pits, that can still end up hurting drivers as a result. Not intentionally, of course, that's just the nature of it. Chris, you saw they're getting a 3-second penalty. Sabine still stuck behind them at the moment. Chris actually does have the fresher tyres of the two, but looks the better. Oof, and Chris almost loses the back end, almost collects the Aston Martin as a result. One way to defend, I suppose. Of course, Chris didn't do that intentionally. Did keep that 11th place for them, though. Keep an eye as well on Whitson, now on 10th place on those hard tyres. Stanek now sets the fastest over the race. That's interesting. We'll see what Synchro's time was there. Synchro, of course, now gets the fastest lap of the race as well. 3.3 seconds back as a result of that. That is Marco now passing Victor. And I think after 21 laps, those medium tyres for the Mercedes are starting to cry out of it. Now, the next one will be Wild Dog to get ahead as well. Meanwhile, there goes the other Aston Martin on finally the Ferrari of Chris and up to 11th place, and now they can chase after Whitson to get into the top 10. Meanwhile, Synchro 3.1 seconds back from Stanek. I tell you what, Synchro's not really catching at a rapid rate for knots, although I could be wrong. What the fastest lap was 1:19.3 for Stanek, 1:18.7, 6 tenths of a second then quicker on that previous lap then for Synchro. Get down to 2.9 seconds. Synchro could be in trouble here, but there is of course the looming question. Can Synchro get to the end then? Marco then now has got Sir Otto for company. Much fresher tyres on the Aston Martin, 6 laps fresher of course, compared to the Williams who pitted on lap 12. And look at that, you can see DRS being used, not much left, but down the inside of turn 1. Have they got enough momentum to go down the inside? Yes they do, and Otto really can't do much to defend that one. and Mike Oxlong then, Marco up into 5th place now. And going nicely along the field. Otto's next car behind them is their teammate, as you can see there, Williams of Wild Dog. Next one to go. As that's Fallen Monkeys. I'm forgetting how my controls work. As Fallen Monkeys moves ahead because Michael Furious has pitted once again. Goes on to the soft compound tyres for the moment. Meanwhile, 2.6 seconds now between Synchro and and Stanek. Freefall I mentioned there because you can see they're a back marker. Freefall should get out of the way. I know ghosting exists. You don't want to be holding up drivers anyways. It gives you a penalty anyways. You're there for too long, and Freefall kindly does let the Haas through. Victor now finally chooses to make their pit stop. I thought for one moment that someone might pull an Alex Albon and just go to the end of the race on those tyres compared to the end. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Anyone who's not... No, everyone's made a pit stop now, so it looks like we won't be seeing that. Otto... Marco's still not dropped these two Williams yet. Still within that DRS range. Marco 2 seconds back from Mike Oxlong next up then. Meanwhile, Synchro 2.4 seconds now. The gap between themselves and Stanek. It's not coming down as quickly as we thought. Of course, I didn't expect the soft tyres to be 2 seconds quicker than the medium tyres, but either way, Synchros would like to make the move earlier than later because of course those soft tyres will go off soon. But we did see Wild Dog and Marco take this car to about lap 13. So actually in theory, yes, they can go to the end of this race, especially now when the fuel loads are dropped. Keep an eye on Chris as well. They're still behind the Aston Martin to bone. That battle for 9th place. Chris doing a pretty solid job for Ferrari in the top 10 at the moment. We've lost from this race lap 14, Rusty Orkan and Eckloud after being disqualified as they were in qualifying. So Otto now has been dropped by Marco, and Wild Dog, their teammate, is now the car ahead of behind them on fresher medium tyres. I wonder if Otto will play kind here and let their teammate through. Whether these two will race. Surely. Synchro gap just over 2 seconds now between first themselves and Stanek. That gap is beginning to drop here. Stanek will be nervously waiting and worrying, I imagine. Here comes Wild Dog then. DRS then. What's Otto going to do? Otto is, I think, just going to back out from that fight. I think wisely doing so. The Williams then working together as Wild Dog up into 6th place. Both of them once again not having much battery. You saw the flashing light going on for Otto, but there you can see Wild Dog's also got it as well. I wonder if Otto might come back here on their teammate, and the answer is, for the time being, the answer is no. Meanwhile, Marco, who has dropped the two Williams now, is right on the back of Mike Oxlong. This is for 4th place, as Fallen Monkeys a 3-second time penalty for them in their pursuit of Michael Fures. Although I think actually Fures has passed Fallen Monkeys. That's a 13th place. Once again, but that gap between the top two stabilising at 2 seconds. Stanek doing a sterling job at the moment. There's a yellow flag earlier for one of the Mercedes as Marco, you saw they went off the track in 14 and picks up a 3-second penalty for doing so. That could be costly. My Coxon, you see there, moving immediately to the right-hand side. They are leaving a gap slightly. They move to the centre. Will Marco go round the outside of turn 1? They are trying to go for it. My Coxon's not giving this one up, though. Now around the outside of turn 3 goes the Aston Martin. Much better traction there, but they'll compromise their exit out of turn 4. And now, once again, Mike Coxon having the DRS as well for good measure will have the run into turn 5. And Mike Coxon holds on to 5th place. And while these two scrap, they're bringing Wild Dog into this scrap as well. Wild Dog now almost a second behind them as Victor gets ahead of Greenwald Army for 11th place. So the more these two scrap, the quicker Wild Dog gets brought into it. And I think Synchro's pace has slowed down at the moment. Yellow flag for someone. That might be for the Ferrari of Freefall, as we'll see in a moment. As here we go again. Marco looks a lot closer on this run, I think. There's yellow flags, I think, for an Alpha. Here we go once again. My Coxon not moving this time around, but Marco then with the DRS, and not much ERS. This time blast through, and Marco down the inside of turn 1 up into 4th place then. And now, can they chase 3rd place driver Savapa? There's a 6.5 second gap between them, and a fair few penalties for Marco on top of that. But they will give it a go. That's confirmation though. Marco with 9 seconds worth of penalties. Not ideal. Mike Oxong has got 3, as does Wild Dog. So, yeah, you got to hope Marco will clear through and try and make some time up, because they're going to drop positions at this rate. But Synchro appears to have lost ground at the moment. That gap's opened up to 2.5 seconds. That strategy of Synchro's has not worked. I think they need to go a bit longer on those medium tyres to make this work, because their tyres, I think, now have given out, or at least not in their best performance. And I think Stanek has had a comfortable run then, and Stanek has led this race perfectly. Is on course potentially for a Grand Prix victory. Mike Oxford still within DRS though. Wild Dog is there and thereabouts as well. Tabone gets a 3-second penalty. Once again though, Wild Dog with not much ERS left. Remember, that's exactly what caused Wild Dog to lose the Grand Prix, I believe, in Saudi Arabia. I said it then. Wild Dog not able to manage their ERS properly. In doing so, it's not given them much energy to not only attack but also defend as well, as and when needed. Christian keeping Tabone busy. Tabone has actually caught the back of Whitson as well. Whitson on the hard tyres, despite the fact that the hard tyres are much fresher in life. Whitson trying to hold on to that 8th place. Oh, and round goes Chris. And have they saved it? Looks like it. Well, they would have a little bit of a 360. And unlike Eckloud, they do avoid being disqualified. They're still in 10th place. That might bring Victor into a sniff of an opportunity here on those fresh, softer tyres. Certainly will be in a position. That gap between Stanek and Synchro really is hurting now. Meanwhile, this is Wild Dog running out of road on Mike Oxlong. This one has a bit more gravity between these two, this battle. Both have 3-second time penalties, with Marco's 9 seconds worth of penalties. As long as these two keep within 6 seconds of Marco, they'll gain a place as a result. Now Wild Dog trying to go around the outside of turn 5. Much better exit though, but Mike Oxlong having enough momentum to stay ahead on the run into turn 7 and 8. Mike Oxlong a little bit of difficulty with rear traction coming out the exit of turn 8. I'm trying to remember all these corners, but my brain is frazzled. A 6 a.m. wake up is not ideal on a Sunday. Chris gets a 5-second penalty for corner cutting. I think they've gone off again, actually. That's allowed a number of drivers through. Chris dropping down the order. What a shame for them. They didn't do a bad job at all. Mike Oxon, much like before, straight to the inside line. Chris picking up more penalties as they go. Wild Dog then will have to fight this around the outside of turn 1 and does so once again. Mike Oxon gets mugged around the outside of turn 1 and Wild Dog up into 5th place then. Or quote unquote a net 4th place as Marco another 3-second time penalty. That's 12 seconds worth of penalties for the Aston Martin. That opens up the gap a little bit then. Wild Dog, as long as they're within 9 seconds of Marco, that's 4th place for them. We are on lap 31. That gap though between these two is coming down. 2.1 seconds then. I wonder if Synchro is just managing their tyres then. You nip and tuck between those two, that's for sure. Meanwhile, Michael Fures, there's Greenwald Army for companies. That is Chris, who's retired in the pits as well. Shame for them. The 2 reserve drivers then for this session, not having the ideal race that they would have liked. The gaps have started to calm down a little bit. This is actually the closest battle there between, well, I was going to say the closest battle, but Furious is now ahead of Greenwell Army for 11th place. Might run out of laps for Michael Furious to try and catch the Mercedes of Victor. As we head on to the penultimate lap then. Stanek leading comfortably by 2 seconds from Synchro. It looks like they had pace and they lost it, and it looks like it's coming back, and now it's starting to slow down again. Wonder if this is Synchro just trying to go for a fastest lap, maybe, I don't know. Might be unlikely, I think. We'll see. As the Red Bull then starts the final lap of this race. And for the last 32 laps then, they've been in complete control of this race. They led absolutely brilliantly and haven't really looked back since then. They've been involved in battles for Grand Prix victories, of course. Flashbacks, of course, to 2 weeks ago in Bahrain, fighting Synchro for a last lap battle for the win. Didn't happen. Ran out of laps. The roles were reversed this time around, but Synchro ran out of pace on those soft tyres right at the end. Stanek has done a brilliant job, really hasn't looked under pressure at all. You wouldn't have told as they lose the rear slightly through there. Yellow flags came out earlier behind. Oh, and I think Stanek's run out of fuel. Yes, they have. Synchro's just blasted past them. Stanek, oh, that's heartbreaking for them. Stanek ran out of fuel. Must have expected a safety car and underfueled. That is heartbreaking for them. Stanek out of fuel, and their race win after dominating the 32 laps of this Portuguese Grand Prix comes to an end. That is heartbreaking for them. But it's Synchro then, with a bit of fortune on their side. We've had no safety cars, no virtual safety cars. That's played into Synchro's hands. Synchro then on the last lap takes the victory. Stanek, will they even hold on to second place as well? Because that's Vapor. Vapor has got ahead as well. Stanek drops to third place then. No safety car, and that is the danger of underfueling. Stanek has lost on the win by a loss of fuel at the end. Vapor snatches second for them for good measure. Wild Dog will finish in 4th ahead of Mike Oxon. Marco drops to 6th as a result of those penalties. Otto in 7th, Whitson in 8th, Tabone in 9th. Victor will finish in 10th ahead of Michael Fures. Greenwell Army might finish ahead of them actually due to Fures' penalties. Fallen Monkeys in 13th, Hartman in 14th, and Freefall in 15th. Oh, Stanek will feel absolutely gutted. It's not unexpected to see a safety car here, or a virtual safety car. It was set to standard, but no contact. It was a very clean race. I didn't want to say anything earlier on, as I mentioned it, because commentators' cursings exist, but there was no safety car or virtual safety car throughout that race. And that, in the end, cost Stanek the race victory. What a shame for them. Synchro will capitalise off it though. But Synchro then the race winner. Gutting feeling for Stanek though. But you run the risk of underfueling. That's the risk of it. A costly error then. Or a costly decision by Stanek. Takes the win from them and second place. Well done to Synchro and Vapor. Stanek will take a third well, will still be on the podium, but that will do them no comfort whatsoever. So here's the final running then. Synchro wins. The championship leader will extend their championship lead ahead of Vapor. Stanek in third, Wild Dog fourth, Oxong fifth, Marco in sixth, Otto in seventh, Whitson in eighth, Zabone in ninth, Victor in 10th. Then we've got Greenwell Army in 11th, Furious in 12th, Fallen Monkeys 13th, ISRL Hartman in 14th, Freefall in 15th, ahead of Chris, who retired in the pits. We lost from this race Luck 14, Rusty Orkan, and Ecloud, who was disqualified for being the wrong way, I think. That's the nature of this one. But that is it then for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Another dramatic close to this Grand Prix, as it has been for the last three races. We take a break, of course, next week for Easter. But there's still plenty of racing to go on. Division 2 started about 20 minutes ago, so definitely go and check that out. And, of course, Division 1 later on as well. Expect more good racing from them. But that is it from me in Division 3. Thank you very much. I hope you all have a brilliant Easter or a brilliant week off, whatever you choose to do. And we will see you in a fortnight's time for the next race in Silverstone. Thank you all. Take care.